Get it rocking.
All right. So let's start off, I think, with Rams and Seahawks. First off, I'm going to see if we've got an update on the injury report. We should have the Wednesday practices in. For the Rams, Quinton Lake did not participate with an illness. He'll probably be okay. Byron Young did not participate with a knee. That's going to be pretty big if the Rams don't have him in the front seven. So definitely something to monitor. For the Seahawks, there's a lot more guys on here, limited participants, but the ones who did not participate are all offensive linemen. Charles Cross with the foot, Josh Jones with the knee and ankle, who's kind of like a swing tackle, and then Armani Knight, he's a tackle. He did not participate, but this is only Wednesday. This is really only stuff to monitor. The big one is Sam Darnold, limited participant with the oblique. I thought they probably gave him a little something something, and he felt pretty good last week. Looked all right, but big news for the Seahawks. Zach Charbonnet, they're part of their very great RB duo, torn ACL. Really
Or an
really sad.
ACL. Yo, I'm not even lie. I remember seeing it in the game, and I was like, "Why, bro? Like,
Yeah, it was very sad, and
they
in a
were
game where
already
they're blowing
destroying
them
the
out.
Niners. They were
Yeah,
destroying the Niners. It was like that was just a pointless loss. Like,
yeah. That one really hurt. I know a lot of fantasy enthusiasts aren't the biggest fan of Zach Charbonnet because they're Kenneth Walker fans, but it's in the real game of football, having both of them is the best, and now they
is the
don't have
best
that,
situation.
so they won't have their power runner in this matchup against this Rams sort of lighter defensive front. And just kind of keep an eye on Sam Darnold. How does he look in a game that they're likely not going to be blowing the opponent out, and he's going to probably be asked to pass more than the Seahawks would prefer to. So that's sort of what to monitor from the injury standpoint. Now, Dan, I just want to ask you a question
Mm,
because I feel this way.
okay.
Do you think that this NFC championship between the Rams and the Seahawks is the real Super Bowl, meaning this is the two best teams in the NFL facing off right here, and it assumes that whoever wins this game is going to beat whoever comes out of the AFC? Because I feel that way.
I mean, I'll agree with you, and that's how I felt. If I'm gonna be honest with you, last year as well when the Eagles played the Rams in what's it called? When the
Divisional
Eagles played
round.
the Rams in the snow in the divisional round.
Yep.
I personally thought that was the best game
I felt the same way.
out of the whole playoffs because that was clash for clash, and we were able to get away with it. You know what I mean with that Saquon run, but it was like it was more magical than the Super Bowl. If I'm gonna be honest with you, in
Oh, for
terms of
sure.
competition and like what we're able to bring to the what we were able to bring to the table. The Chiefs didn't have anything for us. The Rams did, and they were the only team that I felt like was able to hold us down and keep us like on our toes the entire time. So yeah, this game against the Seahawks, like because McVay's done it once, McDonald's got it once, and again when you play it a third time, it's a different kind of matchup.
Yeah.
So
That's right. And I love how you brought up last year's playoffs because I remember watching that Rams Eagles game, feeling that same way. And then just as the Commanders got blown out, the Chiefs get blown out in the Super Bowl, just confirmed it to me because, yeah, Saquon had a big day against this Rams team, but the way that the Rams were able to pass the ball against that Eagles defense was something we saw during that regular season that carried into the playoffs, and that reassured me that this Rams team is legit and they're not going anywhere. Gave me the confidence that rode them into this year, and here we are. It feels like this is a moment that's been building since they kind of had that down year with the injury to Stafford. So yeah, I'm glad we both see it that way. We're not the only ones
I also look at it
saying
low
it.
key as like a Cooper Cup revenge game. If I'm being
It
honest with
is. It 100% is. And I remember when he signed with the Seahawks in the offseason and the Seahawks signed Sam Darnold, I did not think that was going to work. JSN, Cooper Cup, and Sam Darnold. And many people had questions about that offense going into it, especially since the line was never good before Clint Kubiak was there and they drafted Grace
you.
Abel. The Seahawks have done a phenomenal job growing into the team they are now. Obviously, they won this division and they did beat this Rams team and the 49ers team in games that matter. So You know, the Seahawks with the off or the defense and, balanced offense, the Rams with the offense and the capable defense. Seems to me that these are, in my opinion, the two best teams in the NFL. I think whoever wins this one is going to go on to win the Super Bowl. So that makes me wonder, though. These two teams have played already twice. They're in the same division. We've even seen them play the same opponents in the division. And, the Seahawks and Rams both had lost to the 49ers. It's so balanced. But between the two matchups we saw between these two teams, the first game where it was a lot more defensive and there was a lot more turnovers from the Seahawks, compared that to the second game where, the Seahawks were down, but then there was this big punt return by Rashid Shaheed that kind of opened up the Seahawks offense, gave them momentum, and we end up in a 38-37 overtime shootout. Way different than the first matchup. Heading into this one, it's going to be in Seattle. Who do you think, or which matchup do you think this is going to be more like the defensive one that we saw the first time around, or the Thursday night short week overtime shootout?
Oh, bro, they are gonna empty out that playbook. I'm talking about whoever's in the AFC is basically gonna have film on both teams' entire playbooks. Because I'm expecting them to throw just everything that they can at each other. They see each other twice a year already in the regular season, and the Seahawks that second game knew they had to win that game. Like
Yeah.
they had, and they gave them everything they could. You know what I mean? And the Rams tried everything to stop them, and now we're back in Seattle to do it all over again.
Yeah.
And it's like I would assume McDonald and this whole Seahawks coaching staff has developed the game plan, seeing what Sean McVay has done in almost every situation that they've put him in. So I'm just excited to see kind of how it works overall. And what did I say again? You know what I mean? When it comes to the Rams defense in key moments, right? That Caleb Williams throw should have never freaking happened, bro.
Yeah.
I have never seen
The
a
interception?
quarterback, right? I've never seen a quarterback run 30 yards back and still score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I
Seriously.
have and it wasn't even like, oh, he pointed at him and no, he literally threw a prayer. That was what it was, and even the corner was so confused why that ball was going so far.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. How did he
and
get it over me running
yes,
away? How did he do it? That was such an amazing play. And yeah, in that Bears Rams game, didn't you feel it? Somehow
bro,
they were going to do it.
When he was doing that, in my mind, I was like, it's not over. Like in my mind, like I already knew to myself, I was like, he threw that ball, and I was like,
It's going to get there.
and someone's gonna catch that.
It's going to get there. Maybe someone drops it or whatever, but it's definitely going to get there. Yeah, I remember watching him scramble backwards and thinking, is this how he's going to do it? But yeah, this is about the Rams, and for them in that situation, I couldn't
But that's
believe.
what I mean. Like in the Rams in this situation, that is a key moment where it's like you cannot do this, right, against this defense. And if the Seahawks defense comes out, it's like I am scared, right? I would rather be the Rams defense to shut this down, Cooper Kupp, JSN, and Sam Darnold, than have to be like, yo, Stafford, go out with Devontae and Puka against the Seahawks defense. I'm not trying to go up against the Seahawks defense on the last drive.
Right.
I would rather have scored and have my defense try to slow them down,
Right.
pressure Darnold to make him a mistake, rather than expecting this defense to make a mistake.
Absolutely. I think both teams are going to, both teams can pass and both teams can run, and both teams are going to want to run the ball and play defense and lean on this game or, lean on that for this game. And you would assume it's hard to tell when it's a shootout or a lower scoring game. Does it help the more elite quarterback? The more clutch quarterback, or do they have the advantage when it's lower scoring or higher scoring? I would say probably higher scoring. You're getting more opportunities, getting the ball back, and all that kind of stuff. And if Stafford's having trouble moving the ball, what does it matter if he's elite? He can't do it in that moment. So I think that's definitely going to be a big factor. But speaking of big factors, it is in Seattle. All right. And, we're talking 12th
They had a
man.
minor earthquake with Shahid's run, bro.
Yeah. Just like the Beastquake.
Yep.
One favorite player all time. You don't see him up there. That's Chubb. But I got Marshawn in the closet right over there. But talking about home and away splits for these teams, the Seahawks, when they're away, are 8-1 on the season. Okay? And the Seahawks, when they're home, are 7-2. So really not that different.
Really not too crazy. Yeah.
Really not that different. I think this team is the same wherever they play. The Rams,
The Rams.
when they're home, they're 7-1, and when they're away, they are 6-4. So definitely not as good on the road. Both of these teams split during the regular season. Both teams won when they were at home. So it seems this 1 seed is definitely going to give the Seahawks some level of advantage. But I want to ask you, do you really think so? Because we just saw this Rams team, you win in Carolina on the road. Okay, right? Like, all right, you should beat them no matter what. But to go into Chicago against such a dangerous team, playing in those conditions, I would argue that was probably the biggest advantage a team all year in the playoffs could get from having home field, being used to playing in that cold weather. This is a dome team that's coming to see us. If anything, it proved to me that there's something up with that 6-4 split when they're away, because what I just saw in the divisional round proved to me that they can play in any conditions and win against a good team. So do you think it's going to be a major advantage, or do you think it's going to kind of be like, whichever stadium this one was at, I think both teams were going to show up?
No, I genuinely feel like, especially in this time of year, like the placement where you put the Rams does matter. Because again, right, the Bears, if I'm correct, Caleb threw not one but two interceptions, right? I believe that game.
Yeah.
So in that kind of situation, good teams, the ones that win Super Bowls, put themselves ahead by at least a score or two.
And run the ball.
The Bears were in the game the whole time.
Yeah, they were.
And I think, especially in a situation where your quarterback runs back 30 yards and the ball is up in the air for at least 20 seconds, your corner should be able to route the ball, and if not, intercept it, make it a pass drop, and they should have been celebrating right there.
Yeah.
But either Vegas, the script writers, or the Rams defense just could not figure it out.
Yeah. And
that's where I'm like, in this game, right? Like, there is no way that I'm going to sit here and feel as if, like, oh, the Rams can be put in the middle of Seattle, NFC Championship, in the cold weather, going stupid, going crazy with that freaking the genius design of a stadium. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I want to go there so bad just to see it. But that they're gonna come out and play to a T. Yo, listen, it's rivals. You know what I mean? I always said it, when you play your rival team, you play different. You've seen each other. You got your script, all that stuff in between. But the atmosphere is not the same compared to a playoff game, compared to a regular season game. And what do I mean by that? Like, the Seahawks just played the Niners. Last time I checked, the Niners caught the Seahawks lacking beforehand. And then they came back and absolutely laid them out the second time when they played them.
It was 18 weeks apart, to be fair.
It was 18 weeks apart, you're right. But then 3 weeks later, they got destroyed again.
They were a little, they didn't have Kittle. I mean, but I do know what you, and if anything, it points to how Seattle has just gotten better. It's not like this has just been like, the same thing all year. No, they lost to the Bucs early in the year and let up 38. That was something that happened, but it feels like over the past 10 weeks, the Seahawks team has either gotten better or they haven't moved backwards. And I just want to shout out Scuba King 3370, who said Rams are tough, no doubt, but Seahawks are going for it all. They 100% are. And I heard Richard Sherman talk today about MOB, mission over bullshit. for the Seahawks team. It's kind of like their motto or what they preach, how he went there and he could feel it in the air. This Seahawks team is really special in the way that they're coached and the way they show up and play and how they get so much out of all their players, even guys like Cooper Kupp, who even on the Rams didn't look that great, in the last year. So I do think, personally for me, I think because of the way Stafford played in the cold, in Chicago, yeah, it was kind of slow, but I think they were generally ahead. I don't think the Bears ever had a lead. I think it was always a field goal, a touchdown. And in a game like that feels like almost like 2 possessions, or a field goal feels like a touchdown. Having trouble getting down the field and to communicate in an away stadium. That's something I trust the Rams to do, to kind of mitigate the home field a little bit. And the defense, while they did let up that ridiculous play, they did come up. They did punish the Bears for a mistake in overtime. So they did kind of make up for it. Ultimately, they still got the win. So now I want to move on to kind of like the big question around all this, because I think we know they're pretty evenly matched from a coaching standpoint. Seattle has a little bit better of a roster overall, I'd say, but the Rams have the better quarterback. We all know this. But if Sam Darnold has a really good game and the Seahawks still lose, who do you think would be the reason in that case? Because I know what my answer would be.
That if you blame somebody, who would it be?
Yeah, either a position group or like an individual weakness they have.
Running backs, probably.
Not having Charbonnet.
The reason why I say that is because, again, you lost your that at that point, right? You realize you're probably gonna be like, Kenneth Walker's really not a workhorse. He's not that guy. He needs to have Charbonnet. All this stuff in between. It's like they're gonna find something. You're not gonna blame JSN and Cooper Kupp. They've been performing crazy all week, all year. And the third is Shaheed, right? And then the fourth is Bobo, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I feel like their tight end group, no offense, still there. So he's pretty solid, I feel like, as a tight end.
Well, they got Barner and
they got Barner.
Arroyo, the rookie.
Yeah, Arroyo, yeah. And overall, I'm trying to like think to myself, right? Like their D line is solid.
I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I think, and this is I'm going out on a limb here a little bit because it hasn't been the case throughout the year. It's in situations like this when we're in the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, and I think I've told you about this before. I like to go back to Week 1 because although we are months and months separated from Week 1 in the preseason, a lot of the claims and the expectations people had were there for a reason. And going into this year, my main concern for Sam Darnold was that he would not have the offensive line support. Now, in this game where they don't have Charbonnet, the big grinder in the run game, K9 can create explosives and he can go between the tackles, but I think you're right. I think he kind of needs Charbonnet next to him. A weaker run game, the offensive line, they're banged up right now. They might play, but they're banged up. Gray Zabel's a rookie. He's been really, really good. I think they're all very reliant on Clint Kubiak's coaching. And if Chris Shula can get a heavy pass rush on Sam Darnold and the Seahawks team like they did the first game this season, like they did last year twice when he was on the Vikings, I think it will be the offensive line against this Rams defensive front. Now, the Rams, they might not have Byron Young. I think the expectation is that he plays. And I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but I'm just saying if Sam Darnold, kind of does everything he can and there's some other excuse, I think it will be the offensive line. But like I said, you were kind of laying it out before where you're like, they're solid here, they're solid here, they're solid here. Sounds like a Super Bowl team. Yeah, like they kind of are solid everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to history, really.
I see where you're coming from with that. I mean, yeah, the O-line is definitely important. Coaching could be a factor with this. It's just one of those things. Like, I don't even who is the Seahawks third running back by chance.
I saw him in the game.
That's what I'm saying. I thought
he looked okay. Let me pull him up real quick because he was getting some volume, and there's a chance that he's a solid player, and we just don't know it yet, right?
Yeah.
So if I go to the game and look at it here, it looks like it was Velus Jones Jr., the former wide receiver on the Chicago Bears. He was like an older guy, like 25, came out of the draft. This was back in before Ben Johnson's days, and he is kind of like this DJ Moore type of guy, big wide receiver. Looks like he's made the transition, the running back, and good for him. He only went 6 for 10 yards, but who cares? Maybe
Yeah, you just
maybe
get thrown in the middle of the game against the Bears.
right.
I get it.
Let's see with a
Niners.
right, a week of preparation. How does he look?
Yeah.
So, but I do think that will be the critical factor. So, with all of this being said, Dan, in the biggest moment for Sam Darnold, after all, like I just mentioned it, the haunting of the defensive coordination of Chris Shula, pass rush, crazy looks, seeing ghosts. In the biggest moment in the NFC Championship, the game of his life, not if, not can, will Sam Darnold overcome this Chris Shula defense and this Rams team and pull off the win? What's your score prediction?
My score prediction: Seahawks will come out with this one, and my score prediction will be 23-21 Seahawks.
Okay, that sounds very close to the first game where the Rams won 21-19, except the Rams or the Seahawks get that last field goal. They get down the field. Sam Darnold has the game-winning drive, and he just defeats all the haters. I like that. And, I wouldn't be upset about it. Like I said, I've had both of these teams up here. And is there anything that you'd like to add into how you want to kind of add context to that score prediction before? Because I have one too, of course.
So for me, my thought is last drive or second to last drive, Rams come down. It's gonna be what is it, 20 to like 18, and by 18, I'm thinking that they're gonna catch Darnold lacking. They're gonna be basically just up his ass, and all of a sudden the Rams are gonna kick in a really good field position. What's it called? They're gonna probably back the Seahawks up to like the 2. Sam Darnold's gonna get flustered. Something similar happened like that Vikings game where he gets sacked in the end zone. Safety, boom, it's 18-20. Everybody's losing their ish. They come out of nowhere, and the Rams are going down. Fourth quarter, 2-minute drill. They get close to it. The Seahawks stop them. Boom, 21-20. Everybody's losing it. It's probably under like a minute or something. Sam Darnold time. They're balling out. I'm expecting Arroyo. I'm expecting Bobo. I'm expecting like JSN to be triple covered, basically nonstop. And all of a sudden, the one guy that they forget, Cooper Kupp, probably a big play. All of a sudden, timeout, boom, Myers, flick, 23-21. That's what I'm seeing.
I love that. The Cooper Kupp storyline here is so underrated because it felt like there was a little bit of disdain.
A little bit of like, wow, for real.
Y'all
bro.
didn't want me back, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go to the division rival and look at them now. By the way, I'm going to help their young wide receiver truly break out by applying my elite football IQ, to his potential. So many moving parts to that. I love that. I really do. But I think you're wrong. I disagree, but not very strongly. I think both of us feel this game is very 51-49. Everyone kind of knows it could go either way. I'm sticking to my guns since week 11. And honestly, going all the way back to last year in the regular season when the Rams really started catching fire and looking legit. And then adding Adams. It all lined up for this moment. For them to already have Puka, Stafford, the supporting cast they had on offense, and the defense that emerged that was looking like it was going to be a problem, felt like the last thing they needed was Devontae Adams. Really did. And I think in this game is where it's really going to say, damn, that was a Super Bowl move. Because I'm going to pick the Rams to win this one pretty close, 27-26, game-winning touchdown. How do I see this happening? Well, I think it's going to be pretty similar to the first game, except without the Darnold interceptions. So the Rams can't really comfortably pull ahead. Maybe the halftime score is like, we'll call it 17 or 10. to like 7. Rams lead. And the Rams are going to be leading early, and that's what's going to help them win this game ultimately. Is actually they're going to take the first lead, I think, and because I think it'll take longer for Darnold to settle in. I think he will settle in, but I think about the two games that did occur between these two teams, and although the Seahawks did come back in the first one, and they came back in the second one, and they managed to win, it just feels like between the 8 quarters of football that were there, it felt like for 6 to 7 of them, the Rams were the better team. I can't escape it.
I know.
I really can't. I don't even try to do it on purpose. I can't escape it. But yeah, I just think the Rams, the Seahawks, I think that one punt return for a touchdown by Rashid Shaheed, I don't think they're winning that game without that. And I'm not saying it's impossible. Rams special teams has been a problem. Seahawks got the best special teams in the league. Rashid Shaheed might be the best punt returner in the league. If he gets one in, they're probably winning. No, they probably will win. But I'm just thinking, yeah, I think the Rams are going to be a little more dialed in on that kind of thing. We're going to say we're not going to lose because of special teams. Maybe they let up a big return, but not a touchdown. And, they go through the third quarter, fourth quarter, they start scoring more and more. And it's
Those big rushes though, past the 50, those matter. And
oh
that's
yeah,
where,
yeah. And I have them at 26, so there's going to be plenty of times where they get into field goal range and they have to settle for 3, and that's kind of what I see happening. Is it's like it's 20-20, and the Seahawks, they kick a field goal, and then maybe there's a Rams turnover. They can't convert to a touchdown, but they kick another field goal, and then either there's 2 minutes left or it's just in the fourth quarter and they get a couple stops. We're going to get to the last drive or it's going to be like 5 minutes left. The Rams are going to march down the field confidently against the Seahawks defense that's going to be tired. And they're going to score a touchdown. And I'm going to let's just say it's Devontae Adams, right? Mm-hmm. Because the Seahawks secondary, Witherspoon and Woolen, and even Worry, the strong safety, kind of a Kyle Hamilton clone. I'm not sure who they have who can keep up with Devontae Adams.
Worry, bro, is the closest thing I feel like I've seen since freaking Cam Chancellor, bro.
Yeah,
that dude,
we love it. We said that.
Yes,
when
bro.
It got drafted, it wasn't on video, but I literally called you. I think after I was like, "Yo, the Seahawks took him and Worry. I think he's gonna wear Cam Chancellor's number." But, yeah, I just think whether Witherspoon's on Puka. I don't think Woolen can hang with Devontae, especially with the passer he's got throwing him the ball. So, so that's Rams Seahawks. Are you rooting for either team in this one, or do you not really care?
I genuinely feel like I'm rooting for the Seahawks just because I'm over. I want Sam Darnold to be able to show the Jets are just trash. And that they just sold. Basically, they just can't get shit right. That the Niners were dumb for keeping Purdy and getting rid of... Bro, I'm not lying to you. If Darnold played with the teams that Purdy had, bro...
Yeah. It's crazy.
It would have been crazy work. With Shanahan calling the... Bro.
Yeah.
Crazy work. Then the Vikings, they were Sam Darnold, 9. We'll go with 9. The Panthers, even though Bryce Young's cooking, I agree. They're I'm proud of them. I'm happy to see them doing what they gotta do. But it's Darnold has just Geno Smith said, "Oh, they try to write me off, but I didn't write back." Yada yada. He is the definition of writing off this freaking dude,
yeah.
Sam Darnold, and he kept showing it year after year with all these different teams, and the Vikings still got rid of him. The Niners still got rid of him, and it's just bro, trust them, trust the process, and if they do that against Stafford. Yo, I'll be happy at that point. That's kind of what I felt about with the Bears and Caleb. I genuinely felt as if Caleb is solid. I kept saying it over and over again this year. I think that Ben Johnson's type of offense was a little too fast for him. He was understanding it more and more throughout the season. But at the end of the day, if you're still a little step behind, that one step behind is enough for the Rams to be able to catch you lacking.
Yeah.
They got him paid for it, and they called it a day. And the Seahawks, I don't think. I think Sam Darnold has spent the years catching up to the speed of the NFL, and I think he's at exactly where he needs to be able to ball out against McVay.
I will say this about Sam Darnold. I think overall, even if they lose this game, I think he would have to have a historically poor like season or game here in order to kind of ruin his resume, because an interesting Sam Darnold stat I heard, that was I heard it on the herd, Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright. Quarterbacks with multiple 14-win seasons or consecutive. Sam Darnold is the only quarterback with back-to-back 14-win seasons on two different teams.
You know what's crazy, Scotty? You know what's crazy?
What's up?
You know what number he wears?
14. Maybe that's
Ain't that,
that's got to be it,
ain't that some
right?
shit? Ain't that some shit?
Yeah. And just to add, I maybe not insult to injury, maybe medicine to treatment. He's the seventh quarterback in NFL history to have 14 wins and 4,000 passing yards in a season. So, avoiding the kind of carried terminology.
Yeah.
And that was last year. Now he's done it twice. I don't know how many guys have done it twice, but it can't be that many. I'm staring at a list of like 7 guys right now. So yeah, I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I think there's no question there. And I honestly, I want the Rams to win only because I want to be right about this feeling I've had that it's been like, paranormally ingrained in me, that it's true. What I've sensed about this team is that they're going to win a Super Bowl. But if the Seahawks win, I will certainly be happy for Sam Darnold. Good for him. Good for him. It would be a crazy impressive win. All right. You ready to move on to the next game, Dan? We
Yeah.
talked a lot about Rams-Seahawks. It's going to be a very interesting game. But this one,